Hello my fellow freedom builders and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about chart patterns. It is one of the things that many technical analysts are looking for, and there are a number of them. I've just found a random picture here and you can see some head and shoulder and reverse head and shoulder and triple bottom and double tops and channels and so on. I am going to dive a bit into it today, and I've written here 70+% success rate, and that is because I found some different websites claiming that they can prove these chart patterns has a huge success rate. They might have, and there are a few of them that I actually like. But it is important that you're not just taking these chart patterns in and thinking, oh wow, now I've learned about a double top or a double bottom or a head and shoulder. I have some fancy words now, then I can just apply it to a random chart. Because the thing is with human beings is that we are pattern-seeking individuals, meaning that we are trying to figure out, whenever we are looking at some chaotic chart, we are trying to find some charts that we know, because then we feel more comfortable. And that is a big danger in technical analysis, that we actually spot patterns that are not there. So let me show you what I mean. Now, let's just jump over into, yes, here we have TradingView as always, but I'll just show you a couple of websites I have found here. And I should say I have no affiliation with them whatsoever, and I'm not sure how they have found their statistics. The first one is called Samurai Trading Academy. I think it is some sort of day trading, swing trading sort of stuff. I have no idea what they do or what they teach. What I did find in here is that they have been testing some common price action patterns. And what they say is that they, let's say the statistics on the price action patterns below were accumulated through testing of 10 years of data and over 200,000 patterns. Now, it all looks very good. However, numbers are easy to put on a website like this, and I have not tested the numbers for myself. What I'm using this website for is to show you some basic patterns here that I am looking for. Now, this is one of the sites I have found. The other one is quite a well-known page. It's called the Pattern site. I'll link to both of them below here. Now, the Pattern site is made by someone called Bulkowski or something like that. He's written some books about chart patterns, and he's quite well known. However, I guess he's not well known for his website design. This honestly looks like something that were made just when Windows 3.1 came out, or maybe he managed to program it in DOS or whatever. This is really a poor website, as you can see here. However, there are a lot of chart patterns in here, and you can go in here and see he has some success rate percentages as well. However, it is a website. It might contain the best information in the world, but my eyes simply get tired of looking at something like this. But you can decide for yourself. I'll put a link to it below. Anyway, let's have a look at some of these patterns. Now, this is called a bull flag. I'll get back to that. There's also a bear flag. I'll show you that on a chart. They apparently have a 67% success rate. Then we have some ascending triangle pattern, and this is actually, this one to the left is actually my favorite bullish chart pattern when I see this. I love to trade this, and I always mention it for my Danish subscribers in the subscribe group or subscription group. This is really something, I think it is easy to spot, and it has a very high success rate. If it is 72%, I have no idea, but I combine it with a lot of other things, so I'm not just looking at an ascending triangle. Then there is the channel pattern, ascending and descending. There is the double top and double bottom. That is something that most technical traders have heard about, but also a pattern that can be found everywhere in every chart, and it is, I think it is a bit deceiving. To say it has a 75% success rate, yeah, well, maybe. To be honest, it is one of these chart patterns that just in a single daily time frame chart, I think you can find 25 of them, and I have a hard time believing they should have 75% success rate. But let's have a look. Then there's a triple top and triple bottom pattern. There's the bullish rectangle, also called a sideways channel pattern here. There's the head and shoulder with a shoulder, a head and a shoulder here, and there's the inverted head and shoulder. And then there is the bullish pennant, which apparently is the one of these that have the lowest success rate, even though almost 55% is actually decent. Now, instead of just learning a lot of names just out of your head here, let's have a look at some of these patterns, because what I think is important here is to understand what creates them. Because what actually creates them is investor behavior in the market. And as you can see, I just picked up the Caterpillar stock here. And this one, the ascending triangle, is what is called a continuation pattern, meaning that you have a good trend, and I think we can agree that the Caterpillar is in a very good trend here, and I have found several good entry points here. But what we can see is that we have everything right going for us here. We are in the green zone. If you know my trading strategy, I've made a ton of videos about that. But we are in the green zone on a weekly chart. We have a very nice uptrending regression channel here. And then all of a sudden it is as if we take a little break here. And what I do like with this pattern is that we can see that the sellers are coming in several times at the same point. It is as if there are many sellers, or maybe one big seller that is really selling out of their stock portfolio of Caterpillar here around 235. There can be a ton of different reasons for it. It can be that there are a lot of analysts saying that this is, when it is above 235, it is too high a price. It is no longer value. It can be a huge fund that is they have been investing in Caterpillar down here, and then all of a sudden this actually fills up too much in their portfolio, so the risk on one stock is getting too big here. So they have decided that every time we hit 235 we are selling, and all of their brokers, all of their sellers on the floor, they are told every time it hits 235 you just sell as much as you can. But what we can see down here is that we have some buyers still thinking that this is a good case. So when it drops down here, the buyers are getting in. Then it rallies up and some buyers are left behind. They might have said to themselves they wanted to buy at 200 or 205, but it turned just at 210 and rallied up. And the buyers that would have been buying down here 205, they are furious. They're thinking to themselves, next time it retraces, we are getting in. And what they are doing is that they're looking at a retracement here, and they're saying, we don't dare wait until it hits 210 again. We'll jump in a bit before, because I don't want to be cheated out of a good deal again. Then it comes up, hitting 235, and the sellers are selling out, and we can see that the buyers are getting in here, and the sellers, and they are struggling here. But all of a sudden, the sellers are running out of stocks to sell, or maybe some more buyers are coming in here, and they are breaking this 205 ceiling here. There is a bit of struggle here, and right now we don't know what way this will go. But this is a very good example of what I am looking for. Now, it's always easy to look back in the charts to find some examples of an ascendant triangle or a bull flag or whatever. But this is what I do like, a real life example. Right now we can see this has just been created. We can see that every time it drops down here, we can see that the RSI is just dropping down to the 50 line, which is exactly what I like to see on a daily chart. Then we see the break up here. We see a bit of a retracement. If I were to enter Caterpillar now, we should see a good green day with some good volume down here. Then I would be a happy buyer of Caterpillar. So this is not just seeing some pattern we have read in a book or on a website and saying, oh yes, this is an ascending triangle, and then just jumping in. No, this is actually understanding what is happening. Why are the sellers getting in? Now, we don't know exactly why they are, but we can see that they are getting in at the same point. We can see that the buyers are jumping in faster and faster. We would like to see some volume. We can see that the trend is all right here, and all of this combined, maybe we have even done some fundamental analysis of Caterpillar, seeing that it is a good and decent company and so on, and all of this combined makes us buy here, not just because some random line here is broken and we are saying yes, now we jump in and buy, because we have heard on some random website that there is a 72.77% success rate here. That might be true, and they might have done a ton of research. I have no way of confirming how much they have done of this. I can just say that this is one of my favorite patterns to trade overall in the market. But let's have a look at some of the other trades. Now, another one that is mentioned down here is the let's see this here, the rectangle or the sideways channel. Let's just have a look. I have found a couple of Danish or at least Scandinavian stocks here. Now, what we can see here is something called the NTG Nordic Transport Group. And what we can see here is actually a combination of many things. And this is also a good example of why you cannot just use one chart pattern and then that is it. Because what we see here is actually that we have a good and strong trend. Now this one is going up. Then we see another pattern mentioned on the samurai side here, because we actually see, let me just draw it in here. We see, where's my drawing tool here, and a descending channel pattern here. Now this is also something sometimes called a bull flag. Now the swings here are so large that I think they would call this a descending channel pattern. But again, don't get hung up on the names here. What some actually would see here as well, I just draw it in here, was a inverted head and shoulder. And actually here in our drawing tool, let me find it here, we have a tool here where we can actually draw this. Let me just try. Now I succeeded here. As you can see, there are some patterns here that we could have a left shoulder, a head and a right shoulder, and that's just this head and shoulder drawing tool over here. There might be a couple of shoulders more, and again, if you're just getting hung up on this being one shoulder, one head and one shoulder, then you might drop this and say no, this is not a real inverted shoulder head shoulder pattern, and it doesn't have to be. Actually in here we could also find a double bottom somewhere. No, someone would say, because they are not completely aligned and you might skip this pattern altogether. Again, what we are seeing here is that we have had a very good trend. We are seeing that there are some doubt coming into the market, maybe some short-term traders that are selling this down, but we have the buyers coming in, maybe some buyers saying this is good value just around the 200 area. Then we have some sellers getting in here. We're actually getting the exact same pattern as before. We are getting sellers in here selling out just above the 250. Maybe they have some idea of this is where this is overvalued. But you have the buyers getting in at a quicker and quicker level here, and all of a sudden it breaks up. And it just keeps going up. Today it is also going up by 1.5% or something like that. So this is what I'm looking for. This is not just learning one pattern, but this is building it all together. Some would say something called a frying pan pattern here. As you can see here, there's some slow turning here like a frying pan, and we are moving upwards. I don't care what you call it. You need to understand what the psychology behind this is. Let us have a look at another one I found for you. Now this is the sideways channel pattern, or whatever it is called, and as you can see here, this is pretty much a war between buyers and sellers, because we have sellers continuously selling around the 245 area here. We have the buyers that keeps buying here, And now this time it broke up and it did that on above average volume. That's something I do like to see. It could also have broken down and then we would probably see some movement down. Now you can buy just on the break here, but normally I recommend that you wait until it just takes a bit of a retracement before it moves up again, and it quite often gives you some very good movement upwards. Again, you can see here, sellers coming in, buyers coming in, sellers coming in, buyers coming in. When it breaks to the upside, it keeps going up. Now, this is not a 100% certain guarantee for profit, but you need to understand that when we're seeing these fights between the seller gang and the buying gang here, at some point one of them will win. At some point the buyers' money are running out, or the sellers are running out of stocks to sell, and then we will see a movement upwards. Now, what else do we have? Well, another pattern I really like to see is, let's just find it here. That is the the ascending channel, but actually I like just calling it a bull flag. And I found a couple of examples here. We have a little Swedish stock that is coming here. And as you can see here, we have this very good move upwards. This is a good trend. We can actually see it over several times, but I do like to see a good, well-established trend here. And what we do see, if we zoom in a bit, is we can take our channel tool here. If I could grab it here like this, and you can see that we have a small, very narrow but well-defined little channel here with some tops, with some bottoms. And when it breaks out, you should try and see for yourself that this is the flagpole. Let me just draw it in here. We can see a flagpole here, and on that flagpole we see a flag. Now, the rule of thumb here is that to get an idea of the target when we get the breakout here, you take this flagpole and you move it to the lowest point of this of the flag, and that gives us an idea of the target. We could move up to around 340. Now, I'm not normally a trader looking for targets, but actually I have seen a lot of times, nothing I have complete statistics on, but really often when I see this pattern, I see that we move at least 60, 70, 80% of the way up towards this target. Sometimes we even run past it by a lot of percentages. So this one, these flags here, where we can actually see we've had a good uptrend. Now some short-term traders are starting to take their profit off, and the big guys are just waiting to have this retracement finished, and then we can move upwards again. So this is just a little very well structured retracement. I think I found another one of these from a bit larger stock in Sweden. Let's just have a look at it here. Yes, we can see the well-defined trend here, and then we can see the bull flag here. Let me draw it in for you. I would like 2 or 3 here points to support it on the top, and 1 or 2 at least here in the bottom. And as you can see, we take it from the last well-defined bottom here. This is the flagpole, and we move it to the lowest point here of the flag, and you can see this, when it broke out, it moved quite nicely. We already had a nice trend going for us here. We had the regression channel, we had the bounces here just on the 50 line on the RSI, we had the volume indicator showing some very good strength here. So this was not a standalone thing. This is pretty much just a break, a pause within a larger trend, where we can see a lot of short-term trading activity. Now this is on a daily time frame, but when we dive down to a 4-hour time frame or 1-hour time frame, we can see some very well-defined fighting between the buyers and the sellers in a flag like this. So I must say that what I'm looking for mostly in my trading is what you would normally call a flag or the ascending triangle. But try and have a look at some of these pages here. You might find some statistics that you can test for yourself, or is worth combining with something in your trading strategy. But please Do not fall in love with some fancy names and you can run around in parties mentioning shoulder head and shoulder formations or an inverted bull flag or whatever. It sounds very impressive, but what you need to understand is why they are building up, and you need to combine it with all of the other stuff you're doing. But because if you're not, you are just training your brain to see some sort of pattern, and you can see that everywhere. When I scroll back here, I guess we can see all of these patterns playing out, but not all of them are actually really profitable. So we need to combine it with some trend following or some other strategy that you know works for you. But if you do that, it can be a very good extra tool to have in your toolbox. And as always, if you have any questions for what I've been saying here, just write it below the video here on YouTube or on the Facebook site Building Freedom. So I'll see if I can answer all of your questions. So feel free to ask. Take care of yourself and your money out there. Remember to subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you again shortly. Bye for now.